Can we overcome our fears? Hey Crash, today we're going to talk about fear. More specifically, why we feel fear and how we can get over our fears.
I'm sorry, Culture, you'll have to find someone else for this episode. I just can't relate to the subject matter. After all, I fear nothing.
Everybody fears something, Crash.
Not me, amigo, for I am king of all that surrounds me, both physically and mentally.
I am an apex predator and a wise guru.
Essentially, I'm a god among men. Oh, Lord in heaven, please don't smite me.
Oh, is that so? You sure there's absolutely nothing?
Don't you dare! I told you that in confidence!
Alright. Your secret is safe with me. For now. But my point is, everyone has fears, and we all know it's an awful feeling to have. Fear can be incapacitating, stopping you from doing the things you want to do. But fear can also be exciting, even fun, and the whole horror genre is built around this concept. Theme park rides put your body in situations that simulate danger and provoke fear, purely to entertain. So what exactly is fear that enables this dual nature to exist?
Fear is when someone in a movie hears a noise and they go to investigate and then BAM! A fucking cat jumps out!
Well, I mean, sort of. Though it's incredibly cliche, a cat suddenly jumping out at you can definitely scare you. The threat of danger, pain, or harm initiates our body's fight or flight response. In case you don't already know, the fight or flight response is designed to prepare our body to either take on danger or run away from it. Our heart rate increases, we breathe faster, and non-essential bodily functions for that moment, such as digestion, are put on hold. Imagine if that cat you mentioned was a lion. We'd want blood circulating to our muscles to give them oxygen, so that we can be momentarily stronger and deal with this predator.
I was the captain of my high school's wrestling club. A lion is no big deal. I'd wrestle that shit to the ground with strength to spare to do the other 11 labors of Hercules. And then I'd go beat the shit out of Ivan Drago. No sweat, because I am so fucking great. Long live America!
Oh yeah? What if it was,
No, don't say it!
That's what I thought. The fight or flight response is mediated by the autonomic nervous system. Basically, that means it's almost entirely out of our control. When we detect a potentially dangerous stimulus, we initiate two pathways in our brain. The first pathway, which I'm going to call the just-in-case pathway, assumes that the stimulus is dangerous and immediately activates the fight or flight response via the amygdala and hypothalamus in the brain, releasing adrenaline. The second pathway, however, which I'll call the false alarm pathway, attempts to process the stimulus and place it into context. For example, in the cat analogy, the sensory cortex passes on the possibility of alternative explanations to the hippocampus. The hippocampus then puts together context clues to figure out what the danger is. For example, we don't have lions in suburban houses, so chances are we're not actually in peril.
Maybe you don't have a lion in your house, but I do.
We live in the same house. Wait, that was your stomach growling earlier, right?
I'm gonna say yes as long as you agree not to look in my room.
Crash, you get rid of that lion right now or I'll tell everyone about your fear.
You would do that. Plus, I can't get rid of him. I've already named him Snoop. And I love him.
Snoop?
As in Snoop Lion.
Okay, that's a pretty good name. But regardless, I can't sleep in the same house as a lion. Last chance, Crash.
I've accepted my fate. It's time for the world to learn of my deepest shame! Well, one of them at least. Now that I think about it, I have a lot of deep shames.
You've forced me into this. Everyone, Crash is afraid of chickens.
You actually fucking told them. You asshole! I thought you were bluffing! Not cool, man! Not cool! Why do you think I got Snoop in the first place? He was gonna protect me from all the feathered fiends! Like you fucking prick! I know you're a spy for them!
There aren't any chickens in our house.
They live in the walls like fucking chipmunks, man!
Damn it, Crash. Okay, there's no point me getting mad at you. Let's use this whole chicken thing as an exercise in how we can overcome fear. But firstly, we need to understand why we have fear. As usual, we're going to use evolution to explain this one. It's pretty simple. People who are scared of snakes, as an example, would stay away from them. That means they were less likely to get bit, more likely to survive, and hence more likely to reproduce. Some common fears became so ingrained in our DNA that we are seemingly born with them. Charles Darwin, who developed the theory of evolution, once tested out his hypothesis by visiting the London Zoo. He stood in front of the snake enclosure and allowed the snake to lunge at him. There was, of course, glass in between them.
What a wimp.
Despite his best efforts, he would always flinch, and his blood would start pumping when the snake lunged. There's two important things to note here. Firstly, Darwin was scared even though he knew he was safe due to the glass. But secondly, perhaps more interestingly, he was scared despite having never been bitten by a snake. He concluded that we are born with these fears.
So I was just born being scared of chickens?
Well, no. What you suffer from is known as electrophobia, aka a fear of chickens. A phobia is an extreme or irrational fear of something. Being scared of snakes makes sense. They're venomous and can kill us. Chickens, on the other hand...
Hey, they can be fierce, feathery fowls when they want to be. Not to mention another F word I won't say just now.
Whatever you say, Crash. But phobias are interesting because they seem to develop not from evolution, but from life experiences. Conditioning is a process whereby a negative event, usually in childhood, creates a fear. For example, getting bitten by a dog as a kid might make you scared of dogs as an adult. In the 1920s, researchers John B. Watson and Rosalie Rayner performed a series of psychological tests on a 9-month-old baby, now popularly known as Little Albert. Essentially, Watson and Rayner introduced Albert to a rat. Now at first, Albert had no hesitations, and was even curious. But the next time they gave the rat to him, they made a loud noise which, of course, scared Albert and made him cry. They continued to do this until eventually they stopped making the sound, and yet Albert was still afraid of the rat. Psychologists now know this phenomena as classical conditioning, and it's how we train dogs by giving them treats when they do a trick correctly.
So they implanted a fear in this kid using psychology? Awesome.
I mean, it is impressive, but not exactly ethical. There's no way an experiment like this would get clearance today. But the results speak for themselves, and much of what we understand about the causes of phobias stems from this and other similar research. So what I'm thinking is, maybe you experienced some chicken-related trauma in your past.
Not that I can remember, but I do remember freaking the fuck out a lot while playing The Legend of Zelda. Fucking cuckoos.
Sounds like you might have repressed the memory, in which case we'd have to extract it with hypnosis. But that sounds like a topic for another day.
You are such a tease. That's one of the few things I like about you.
Thanks, I guess. For now, let's just figure out how to get you over your fear of chickens and worry about the cause later. The proper term for overcoming fears is fear extinction. Not surprisingly, the way to get rid of a fear is the exact opposite way you get the fear in the first place. You expose yourself to the thing you're scared of as much as possible, but without the negative effect. For example, if you're scared of heights, then you should try traveling to the highest point you can handle. Then next time you try going a little bit higher, then next time even higher, until eventually you have no qualms about standing at the edge of a cliff.
Come on, I could have gotten that from a self-help book.
But what they won't tell you in a self-help book is why this exposure technique works. See, our fear memories are stored in the amygdala. That is to say, the memories of what we should be afraid of. However, so-called fear extinction memories form in the amygdala and are then passed to the medial prefrontal cortex for storage. These fear extinction memories then attempt to override the already embedded fear memories, and thus we can overcome fear.
Sounds complicated. Isn't there some easier way to get over my fear of chickens? Something with preferably no effort on my part?
Well, when in doubt, there's always drugs. NMDA receptors in the amygdala are known to play some sort of role in fear memory. It has been shown that when we inhibit NMDA receptors, we also inhibit the fear extinction response. So the theory goes that if we can instead activate the NMDA receptors, then we should have the opposite effect and promote fear extinction.
Ecstasy gets rid of all of my fears? Awesome!
No. Ecstasy is MDMA. I'm talking about NMDA, which is N-methyl-D-aspartate. Please don't try popping pingers to get over your fear of chickens.
Wow, look who's got the lingo down. Something you want to tell me, Culture?
Anyway, here's a different drug for you instead. D-cycloserine. Originally an antibiotic, D-cycloserine has been shown to assist the action of NMDA. However, D-cycloserine is strictly used as an adjunct to traditional exposure therapy. In our previous example of people who are scared of heights, they were shown a simulation of being in a high-up place. The subjects who were given the drug were twice as likely to face their fears in the real world than those who didn't.
So I still have to actually face my fears. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Come on, Crash, work with me here. Don't you realize you're being incapacitated by your fears? Besides, it's just a chicken. There are so many other, better things to be afraid of. Spiders, snakes, public speaking, heights, pain, failure, being alone, the future, and of course, the big one, death.
How is this supposed to make me less scared? You're bloody awful at this, you know that, right?
My point is that all these other things are reasonable to be scared by. But you don't let them interfere with your life. You're never afraid to speak your mind to people. You're never afraid to put yourself in harm's way, and you're never afraid to fail. You're the toughest guy I know, Crash, and there's no way you should let a chicken stand in the way of you doing what you want to do.
Hey, you're right. I mean, I've failed before, but I always pick myself up and try again.
Yeah, that's right. You fail every day. If I had a penny for every time you failed, I could buy myself a yacht. In fact, you fail so much.
Okay, I get it. Shut your mouth.
It's like Franklin D. Roosevelt famously said, "The only thing to fear is fear itself." In other words, fear can paralyze us. It can swell up inside us, can escalate to a sense of dread, and in doing so, disable us. But here's the thing. Fear is anticipatory. If you have a fear of needles, for example, you're never scared after you get the injection. It's only leading up to the injection, and then once you have it, you realize there was never anything to be afraid of. You are scared because you didn't know what to expect, or because you assumed the worst case scenario. As horror author H.P. Lovecraft says, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown.
I feel like this got way too deep for a conversation about chickens.
Do you at least feel any better?
You know, I feel a little better. I suppose I can take Snoop back to the zoo, but only if you promise to keep chickens out of the house.
You stole Snoop from the zoo?
Well, duh! Where else would I get a lion? Try using your head for once, Culture.
Okay, whatever, yes. I'll make sure no chickens get in. Just please get him back to the zoo as soon as possible.
I'm going. Jeez, calm down. Just gotta get my keys. I put them in here for safekeeping. Pretty smart, huh?
Follow CultureCrash on social media! Like and subscribe for more!
If you would like to support the show, then head on over to the CultureCrash Patreon page where you can receive rewards for your support. Every bit counts.